I think you are aware of all the things on this platform. We'll be streaming live on YouTube. various parts of the world. I, Shreyan Sana, on behalf of Institution of Engineers India, Mechanical and Production Students Chapter, welcome you all to the second session of this one of a kind and unique event called Quarantine Talks. Today we have our guest who can be clearly termed as an expert in its true sense. When most of us hear the words superstore, we always come to resonate with one word, and that is Walmart. Today, we bring to you a man who has been in multiple companies in his profile: Walmart, FedEx, Philip, L&T, just to name a few. Currently working as a product manager in Walmart USA, an expert in advanced analytics, Lean Six Sigma, business intelligence, and an MBA graduate from University of Massachusetts Amherst, and a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical Engineering from our very own Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya. Today, he will be guiding us on a product management and studying in abroad course. Joining us from Bentonville, Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen, Nisarg Patel. Sir, over to you now.
All right. Thank you, Shreyansh. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping safe and safe and sound and healthy. I hope your family members are doing good as well. Shreyansh gave a pretty flattering introduction. Let me just make a few disclaimers here that I don't happen to be an expert in any of the things. I'm just a learner, a student. So this is more of a discussion regarding product management, or what it is, how it can be molded into a career option for you, and any other questions that you might have or confusions that you might have regarding study abroad. We'll cover that live Q&A session. Okay, so with this, let me share a very small presentation that I've created. Okay. Shreyansh, are you able to see the presentation?
Not yet, sir. I think the first button which we'll press, it will be able to see because it's done.
Yeah, that's an animation. Okay, now you can see it?
Clear, sir.
All right, and that's in a full presentation mode, right? Because I'm on my presenter mode here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a presentation.
All right, cool. Yeah, hello, friends. It's a brief about product management. I know there are tons of resources out there on this is going to be more of a subjective take on what product management is. I'll take you through my personal work that I do here, what a company like Walmart or companies like Amazon, which happen to be e-commerce and retail space, do within their. So let's go ahead. So briefly, I've divided my presentation in these 5 broad areas. First, I'll cover the product management fundamentals, the skills which are needed to be an effective product manager. Then we'll talk about some of the product projects and work that's happening in Walmart. Just to make it clear, I'll keep it so that I don't reveal any confidential information here. This is just to give you a very brief glimpse into what it's like to work for a retail giant in the product team. And then we'll share with you a couple of my favorite product resources, which I like reading, which I like referring time and again. and which I think so can also. And finally, we'll have some live Q&As. I'm advised that the team, you can type in your questions in YouTube for all the viewers who are watching this through YouTube, and the team will forward it to me here on WebEx, and then we can try to answer the queries. Fair enough. So let's go ahead with our discussion here. Okay, before I go, just to start, let me share with you my journey so far. Shreyansh has already shared. I am a graduate of BVM Engineering College from Vidyanagar. Did my electrical engineering. Worked with Larsen Tubro in their engineering division, and that was in oil and gas sector. Worked for around 4.5 years, and then I thought that I should take a plunge and go out of my comfort zone. After that, I received a full scholarship to attend the University of Massachusetts to do my MBA. I was in the Boston-Cambridge area. It's phenomenal. I hope you have heard about MIT, Harvard, and Tufts and all that. So it was a pretty exciting time to be at the university, learning from one of the best minds and interacting with some of the finest as well. It was a steep learning curve, but did my internship with Philips again in Cambridge. That was in medical device division. And after graduating, I worked for around just 2 months in FedEx. That was in strategic sourcing. And after that, I switched over to Walmart and the product management team. Speaking about my interests, I've been very avid and keen quizzer during my college times. Tried to maintain that during my corporate journey as well. Have been at Tata Crucibles and a national level finalist as well. And have especially Amul Volcano holds a dear place in my heart. I'm pretty sure students from BVM and colleges in and around Vidyanagar would feel the same about this event. Speaking about my reading is one of the hobbies that I do, that I pursue. My favorite magazine, and yeah, street food. I just can't live without street food. That's one reason I miss India so badly, because street food US really sucks. Okay. Motto is growth happens whenever you step out of your comfort zone. And if I were to part with you with only one advice after this, would be this: that growth will happen when you will step out of your comfort zone. Okay, let's move ahead. All right, some basics about what product management is. Musketeers of a product team. So product team usually interacts with these three broad divisions of a company. First is the business. So when I say business, it's the people who are in closest contact with the customers, who establishes the strategy going forward. And when a product team works, it's to know what's the requirement of the customer and why is it needed. I mean, what kind of solution will to fulfill the requirements of the customer. So business, the what and why of. So this is the initial phase of ideation and customer requirement assessment, gathering all the survey data, analyzing it, brainstorming what can be the possible solution. Then the second is on how to build the product. So once we have the what and why of the product outline, the next team that product management interacts with is the tech. So also a team of also coders or developers, and the tech program managers. And with them, the major discussion is about how are we going to. So for all those people who hail from CSIT or electronic branches, it's majorly about software. What kind of tech stack are you going to deploy? when I say tech stack, that's for all the non-CS people, it's a bunch of technologies that you use for your front end, your back end, and your application layer. So once that is done, there's also a third very crucial element, which has become more prominent after Steve Jobs' gift to us. It's user experience, which focuses on building the feel and the look of the product. I'm pretty sure if you come to products which were made in mid 80s or 90s, and the products that you'll find a world of difference between the designs behind these products. And the one area primarily responsible for that difference is the user experience team. And just to name one of the most illuminous person of this field, you might have heard about Jonathan Ive, who's been the chief designer at Apple, and Steve Jobs and Ive collaborated during the early days, in I think so late 90s, early 2000s, and then they came up with iPod and iPhone and iPad and all the products in that family. The other name that comes to my mind is James Dyson. He's a great inventor, billionaire of British origin. This goes by his company Dyson, which is into consumer durables, and they have pretty sleek design as well. Just to name I'm pretty sure there are many more. Okay, so after this three musketeer, let's see how the product teams are organized. I've taken an example of how they are organized in retail setting, but this kind of organization is prevalent in the industry, especially for companies which are into selling products, like products. The product team organization can vary in software organizations or organizations which happen to deal in soft products. So I've given just a overview of how the chief product officer will have direct reports. So say, for example, there are three areas here. So customer product, there will be a portfolio product manager here who will be looking after product portfolios. Under him or her will be individual product managers who will be looking after, say, for example, payments solution, the way customers interact with the payment modules or on the website. There can be another product manager who hails from advertising or media. The second is supply chain product. So, as you know, supply chain is a very important and critical component in any company which happens to deal in hard products, especially retail and companies. So they will have individual product teams which will be handling inventory solutions. So everything is on an app. You can see which product is in which warehouse at what time. And then there is the other team which looks after the logistics solutions as well. So when a freight is going to get received, how are the freight movements happening in and around the area or in and around the world? So all those kind of things are looked after by their individual product teams, and they maintain and own the product solutions and the product portfolios. The third is workforce product. For all of you who do not know, Walmart employer in US, it has around 1.2 million employees, and over the globe, I think so. They employ around 2 million people. So that's a sizable workforce, and with such a sizable workforce comes its own challenges. So there's a whole big team, workforce product, which I'm a part of in Walmart. And within that, they have two major areas. One is labor forecasting, which forecast how is the labor demand going to be based on various parameters and customer footprints and so on and so forth. So that's a team which looks after the labor forecasting. There are pretty complex models to build forecasting. And the second is when you have forecasted what your labor demands are going to be, you need to schedule. And that's a suite of applications which go under the scheduling portfolio as well. So there's a team which handles scheduling as well. So this was the brief about how product teams are organized. I'm pretty sure if you go to big tech firms to be pure play software majors or soft product majors like Facebook or Google, although they have now ventured into hardware space as well, but majorly they will have different kind of organization. Here they would have a team which is looking after ad revenues, so AdWords in Google. YouTube standalone category itself, it's a huge business for them. And then the Google App Suite, so whatever Gmail, Drive, and everything that we use. So that would be a standalone. Okay, so that's about the product team. Let's go ahead and see now how the product development lifecycle looks like. In the initial talk, I shared with you the three musketeers and of the product team. So here are the four major components, and I've divided the development lifecycle in four big buckets. I'm pretty sure if you try to read it online or try to learn it from other courses, depending on each author, you will have different stages here in the life cycle. But these are the four basic foundational building blocks for the development life cycle. The first, obviously, is business teams are in constant contact with the customer. They try to map out the customer pain points. What are the frictions that the customer is facing, and what are the needs of customer. One important thing to note here is schools of thought. So Steve Jobs believed that often customers do not know what they want. So you have to go ahead and think about what will delight them, and then you build a product around it. The other school of thought is more conventional, where you try to figure out what are the needs of the customer. So these are two very different schools, and both of them share of success. But Jobs really turned it around, saying customers often do not know what they want, and it's our responsibility to introduce them to new sleek products, which later on become their own a part of their daily routine. So that's the first stage, development lifecycle. Product team is if you have noticed here, product team is involved throughout the development lifecycle, and the other three musketeers will be interacting in different stages with the product team. So the first stage in customer requirement, it's business and product team. Then once you have all those requirements lined out, you go to the design stage. And this is where the mantle is taken over by the UX, user experience, and the design team. And the companies which happen to do really well in consumer tech space, they will always have very strong UX and design teams. And within the UX and design team, I'm pretty sure there are many more students amongst you who want to get in UX or design. It has different areas. One is regarding the design of the product or the software itself. One is regarding user psychology. So these companies also hire many psychologists who try to foresee or understand what goes on in the psyche of a consumer. And that's why we have these habit-forming products. I mean, every day you feel an impulse to check Instagram. You feel an impulse to put a snap on Snapchat, and then so on and so forth. So it's about outlining those impulses that the user psychologists do, and that's why it's almost like being on steroids or being addicted. It's the same part of the brain which gets kicked in every time, and I'm pretty sure these psychologists know how to play with the brain. So the design is, I've mentioned MVP for all of those who are not aware about this term. It's called minimum viable product, and that has been a pretty modern development in the product space thinking here. That you come up with a minimum viable product which can be deployed right away, and then as and when you get feedback and responses from customer, you try to build a full suite of product, more advanced product. So in the design phase, it's majorly UX, business and product team, which are involved. So once we have the minimum viable product, we give the MVP and the requirements and everything, and hand it over to the tech team, which will be the lead in the development phase. So this is about how to build the product. And as you can see, business takes a backseat or almost is not present in the development phase. It's majorly a play between the UX team, tech team, and the product team. And once we have developed the product, it's time to launch it in the marketplace. So again, we'll have comeback from business team because they will know when to launch it, what kind of communication to build around it, what kind of marketing strategies to have. And then tech team will be there to see if that the whole process goes through nicely, because whenever a new product is launched and it happens to be viral in the initial phases, there will be an amazing spike in the users. So the systems have to be stress tested properly. So tech team is there, and obviously product team will oversee the entire gamut of the life cycle. Okay. So this is about the life cycle. All right. This is a pretty important quote here. I've taken it from Marty Kagan's book, Inspired. That's one of the resources that I have mentioned in my slide as well. The primary currency of a product manager is customer knowledge. So in order to become an effective PM, it's very important to think what your customer thinks, what his needs are, what he feels about the product, and what are the gaps which can be plugged. Okay, so this was about the fundamentals of product management and product development lifecycle and so on and so forth. Now let's come to our very own personal story. Like, what skills will you require to be an effective PM? What are the areas that you need to develop? So in the next slide, I'll talk about the skills you should ace to be a PM. Just have a quick coffee. All right. So I've majorly divided in 4 buckets, and I don't think so there's anything else which is left out of these 4 buckets. So if you have a smattering of knowledge in either of these areas, I wouldn't say either of these areas, but you need to be a jack of all these 4 and can be a master in one. That's how I would like to put it. So first, obviously, is project management. As you have seen throughout, product team is involved in the complete product lifecycle. There's a huge amount of stakeholder interaction, and it's continuous stakeholder interaction throughout, from the ideation phase to launch and post-launch as well. So your project management skills will come in very handy. I won't go in much detail about the project management body, but there's ample amount of resources online as well to learn about this. Recently, if you haven't heard about these terms, lean and agile management, they have been making strong comeback. Agile is something new. Lean was already there, which is kind of making a comeback in a repackaged form. So these are the main frameworks which are used by different teams. The tools and concepts. So I wanted you to take away some tangible, I would say, tools as well, which are used. You can go ahead and do a certification in either of these, or just work in a startup, maybe intern for free or whatever to learn these tools. Jira is something which is being used by the enterprises now very often. Kanban is a framework linked to the agile methodology in tracking the in tracking the user stories and the amount of work. And Kanban is actually a concept which is taken from Toyota Production System. So all of you students who happen to be from mechanical or production background or hard branches would readily understand Kanban. And then there is something called Scrum. I'm pretty sure this is something which is pretty much in vogue, and everyone happens to be a certified Scrum Master. Well, just to make a disclaimer, I'm not a certified Scrum Master certificate owner, and it does not make any difference unless and until you just want to show it off in a resume. So the learnings that you get being a Scrum Master is more, I would say 90% from a practical standpoint, and only 10% comes from having a certificate or a theoretical background in that. The second is business fundamentals. Just to make a blanket statement here, MBA is not required to be a product manager. If you happen to read the book by Marty Kagan, he has profiled, I think so, around 5 product managers, very good and successful product managers in the industry, and none of them have MBAs. So this is a myth that needs to be busted, that product managers need to have an MBA. However, having said that, it helps to have a strong background in business fundamentals. And when I say business fundamentals, basics of finance, some knowledge of corporate finance, how accounting is done, financial and managerial accounting in finance field will suffice. Then it's about marketing, because you have to be involved in the customer journey, the launch phase and all that. So having some basic background in marketing really helps here. And then strategy. You will have to develop a product strategy, what your product is going to achieve, how it will achieve a competitive advantage as against the competitors. So these kind of things. Fundamentals, nothing more hi-fi or very specific in this. The other important component in the modern world is data skills. So you need to be very good in data analysis. So good data analysis skill is an armor for PM. That's what my personal motto is. And when I say data analysis, you obviously Excel is pretty much old concept that we use, and it's still very relevant and very effective. But I must say SQL is a must. So please try to learn SQL. Before you go out in the real world, or if you're already working, you can pick up SQL pretty quickly. It's a fairly simple scripting language, and it will really be helpful to you if you go to any of these big giant firms. So majority of these firms have very large databases, data lakes. That's how they call it, and having a strong background in SQL will really help in getting data insights. And then for the visualization, obviously you must already be familiar with Tableau and Power BI. So these 2 things, SQL, Excel, and any of the visualization tools will really stand in a good stead throughout your journey. The other important thing is design thinking. So this is like, a soft area. When I talked about data skills and some business fundamentals, it's more about a tangible skill set that you can build by learning, by doing some online courses and all that. Design thinking is something which doesn't come through having online courses. It's more intuitive. So you will have to develop your intuition to understand what are the customer pain points whenever you're using an app or any product for that matter, a mobile phone. You happen to know that what if this thing would have been placed in this area, and it would have been easy for me to spread my thumb over, and it would be easy to click. So those are the pain points that you intuitively get. I want you to start thinking about those pain points as well. From a customer standpoint, this was a pain point from a user standpoint, that you feel that, oh, had this app been placed like this, it would have been nice. It would have been a nicer experience. Now think about what a customer would feel like if you have launched your product. So developing this kind of framework in your mindset and developing this kind of intuition will come really handy to you. And then you can map the whole customer journey, how a customer interacts with a product, what he or she feels about what are the frictions and so on and so forth. So these are the 4 major skill buckets that you can use to ace being a product manager. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the Walmart app. Some of the areas. So it's a happy world now. When you see a front of a Walmart app, and for people in India, you'd be using Flipkart or Amazon. Flipkart is owned by Walmart. So when you see one app, you are interacting with only one interface, but there are many backend mini apps which are fueling that seamless experience. So here I've outlined a couple of them. Search. So whatever you search, based on that, the system will start giving you personal recommendations. Netflix is an amazing example of this, which have done really well in the personal recommendation space. And they've also done very well in understanding the consumer psyche. And that's again the same thing, circling back to my initial conversation regarding the user psychologists who try to fiddle with our brain and make us addicted with the product. So that's something which happens on the back end here in personal recommendation engine as well. Then it's the payment team. So they would be looking after your credit card, and because finance is a very regulated industry, and you need to be very, I would say, very methodical about handling all the processes, because there can be frauds and all that, and it happens all the time, especially in the Western world, because majority of the transactions happen on credit card. And by the way, there is no concept like cash on delivery here. So, which is very frequently used concept in India. And then they look after the credit card and then the QR codes and all that. So that happens in the payment space. Then comes merchandising. So merchandising is about which products the company is selecting for the customers, what kind of offerings they need to give to the customers. So based on your search history and your payment history, they will try to come up with recommendations regarding product as well. So if you have purchased a study table, the next time you open an app, they will start showing study chair as well, because through the search history, it's called collaborative filtering. Through the search history, they know that people who have bought study tables, they often tend to buy study chairs as well. So that's given as a recommendation to you. So this is how these different pieces of a company or of an app, if I may call it, try to mash in each other and give a seamless customer experience. So these are the mini apps, and they are owned by the product team. So each of this customer engagement would be a product team in itself. Merchandising product would be a team in itself. And payment team would be a team in itself, and so on and so forth. And then they provide an excellent user interface. So that's about the Walmart app. We are almost on the end of our journey here. Let me share my personal favorite product resources here. And I'm pretty sure these resources will help you start your product journey. The first book that I've been mentioning time and again is Inspired by Marty Kagan. Any product manager worth his or her salt refers to this book. It's not a very interesting read, but it outlines the do's and don'ts, the fundamentals of the product teams, how product teams should be organized, how they can scale, and some of the challenges in the journey. So it's a good ready reference book, if I may put it like that. The second is Blitzscaling. This was an amazing book that I read in the past couple of weeks. I still haven't finished it, but I thought this is an outrageously amazing book, if I may put it. It's written by Reid Hoffman. It's a co-founder of LinkedIn. And this was actually based on, they used to teach a course called Blitzscaling in Stanford Graduate School of Business. And based on the student reviews and feedback, they put compilation of all those things and made a book out of it, which is very good. And it majorly talks about different stages of how you can blitzscale your product. So blitzscaling is actually a joint word, which is taken from Blitzkrieg, which was the World War II strategy that Hitler and Nazi Germany deployed, and scaling as in the way we scale product and organizations. The third is The Lean Startup. It's a book by Eric Ries. This is also very famous in the startup world and in the product world. And it has personal vignettes by the author and gives the its main focus on minimum viable product. So how MVPs are developed and how the whole process is. So these three books are really good. When I talk about blogs and online things, Department of Product, this is something that I came in touch with recently. They've got amazing stuff there on their website, so do check it. There is SVPG, Silicon Valley Product Group. Marty Kagan is one of the co-owners of this, and they have an amazing blog where you'll find all the articles about product and strategy and all that. And obviously, MOOCs, there are tons of material out there. Pick your platform. In this space, you can really learn from one of the best minds. Check it out, and on Coursera, I'm pretty sure some of the courses are costly, so you can always audit the course. Being a student, I used to do that when I was a student because I was pretty short on money as well. I'm pretty sure you, most of the students are, so I can pretty much imagine. So that was it. From the product space, I'll part with you with my favorite quote here. A mind which is stretched by an idea can never regain its old dimension. Thank you, everyone. So over to you, Shreyansh and team.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
We'll be having some questions over in the chat video, sir. You might see it.
Okay, so first is by Ritik Patel. Being a product manager, does concepts of queuing theory is important in handling customers' needs? Yeah, good question. Queuing theory, for all of those who might not be aware about it, it's a term which is more often used in industrial engineering, and talks about variability in the way demand happens. How can you turn customers? Okay, this is the second question. All right, I'm answering the first one. So there isn't any need for that unless and until you happen to be developing a product which is catering to that very particular area. So if you are developing a product which is based on optimization, then obviously you cannot go ahead without learning the concepts of queuing theory. But say, for example, you are developing a product which is about the customer experience, or which is an ad product. I don't think queuing concepts of queuing theory is necessary for that. But having said that, product management, and the way these big tech firms hire, they don't ask very specific or technical questions in PM interviews. It's majorly about the framework. It's majorly about the skills that you have, and most of them know that if you can master the frameworks which is needed, the skills can obviously be taught on the go. So they hire for the attributes and not the skill sets. Okay. Second question is by Meet Joshi. If you have decided to launch a particular product in market, how can you turn customers towards your product if they don't have any idea about it? So this is where the marketing team falls in place. When I talked about the launch phase with business getting involved in it, it's majorly sales and marketing teams. So In India, you obviously know when Zomato and Swiggy was launched, they were giving free deliveries and credits as well. When I remember Freecharge, I used to do my recharge, mobile recharge through Freecharge, and they used to give some 20 rupees cashback on a recharge of, I don't know, 200 rupees. So that's how they try to lure the customers from competitor platforms, and that's where the marketing and sales team come in play strongly. I'm pretty sure there are more nuances into this, but I'm just trying to give you a very high level view of what happens behind the curtains. Okay, the third question is.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please stop sharing the screen so we can view you in the full screen only?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's perfect, sir.
All righty, fair enough. Cool. Okay, I think so. I answered Meet's question. The next question is by Vineet. Sir, if we build strong product for our business, but how we can manage marketing of that product digitally? Okay, so marketing has it's been since the time when we have started seeing onset of digital medium. Marketing has been divided into two broad areas. One is digital marketing, which is more about people from analytics background getting in, and one is from conventional marketing, the way marketing used to happen before. So, like in my presentation, I have focused on products which had more digital backing, but I'm pretty sure product is now a very widespread word, and there are product managers in consumer goods companies as well, like Procter and Gamble, Unilever, and so on. So those are the non-tech products, right? It's not much of a digital marketing that happens. Marketing happens through the regular ad mediums, the banner ads. Marketing happens through your local stores and kirana stores. When especially for folks in India who happen to visit DMart, whenever a new product is launched, DMart has a policy of offering buy one get one free. So that's a way they try to market a new product. And so this is about the non-digital conventional products. When you go to the digital space, majority of the marketing happens digitally because the primary users are on the digital medium. Okay. Sagar. This question is, can you elaborate more on lean management and Six Sigma concept? Okay, so these are pretty detailed questions. I feel like giving an exam here, but great questions. All are great questions. So these are terms pretty sure people hailing from manufacturing background or those who are studying mechanical production and hard in the hard branches, they would know concepts of Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is I would say, body of knowledge where you learn about how to solve problems and in a phased manner. So it's like components of project management, problem solving, root cause finding, and all that, and it employs DMAIC process. So define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So these are the different phases that you do, and then each of the phases have its own outlined tools and techniques that you go about. So whenever you have to do any process improvement project in the industry or in the workplace or wherever, can be on a personal level as well, so you can employ the concepts of Six Sigma. And similarly, Lean is now it has got combined, tried to mash in and removed some of the non-essential concepts from this Six Sigma space, and they have made it rebranded it as Lean Six Sigma. So that's how it is. I mean, you can check out. This was more prominent during 90s. General Electric and Jack Welch was a great supporter of Six Sigma, and General Electric had amazing revenues and profits that came through the Six Sigma project. So that was a pretty much important concept. And now it's making a comeback again in the industries. Okay. I also, in the introduction, talked about if you have any questions regarding study abroad, you can ask your question in that space as well. I'll be more than happy to share my personal experiences. Okay, the next is Kalpesh Ingle. Kalpesh is asking how Walmart is doing in drone delivery project. Are we gonna see it soon? Okay, so well, I cannot. So long as I know, Walmart isn't doing anything in this space except so there's a intelligent retail lab in Walmart as well, and there's a small division called Store Number 8, which is the innovation arm. So they keep on tinkering with all these futuristic technologies and all that, but it's not in business yet. So there are many innovation projects. I mean, every company has its own innovation arm, which keeps on doing these kind of projects. So Amazon obviously keeps on getting patents in some of these areas as well. But that's more of a very futuristic, long-term looking view. As of now, we don't have anything in the drone delivery space which is ready to deploy. When I say we don't have anything, I speak from a deployment phase. But I'm pretty sure the innovation arm would be developing a prototype around this. And then the other logistics firms like FedEx, they have tied up with Google as well in US for deliveries in one city, I think so. Because I was there in FedEx for 2 months, and the innovation arm of FedEx was had recently done a partnership with Google for this. Okay, next question is from Darshan Kawa. What is the most important thing in product development? Oh, this is that's a pretty deep question, I would say. Darshan, I don't think so. There is one area or one element which can be termed most important, because all of them have their equal weightages, and without any of those things happening, the whole development cannot. The whole development and launch cycle cannot go through. But having said that, if the major reasons products succeed and fail is their ability to understand and read customer requirements. So for all those products who failed to understand the customer requirements and who could not be nimble enough to adapt to customer needs have failed. And the products which have been successful in dealing with the changing customer needs, they have been usually successful. And especially in the product space, it's about building a habit around one product. And when a user gets addicted, habituated with one product, he or she is not going to leave that product platform. And that's why Facebook could succeed, but Google Hangout and Google Plus could not. Zoom is doing pretty well. For that matter, Eric Yuan, who's the founder of Zoom, used to happen in Cisco WebEx itself, and he presented this concept to the Cisco team of having a light browser which is compatible across the platforms and all that, and they rejected it. So he started his own company, and which is now bigger than the WebEx division of Cisco. So that goes on to prove how fast the space moves, and the companies which happen to not read the customer requirements correctly, they happen to fail. So according to me, having customer knowledge, going back to the quote that I shared, the primary currency of product manager is the customer knowledge. That's the most important thing in the whole product cycle. Okay, Vijay Bhatt has a question. Vijay, what is the important thing to connect with marketing team for introducing them with product as product manager? Okay, good question. So these are, again, the details in product management. I'm happy that you have done your research, and all of the questions that I have faced till now are into in the intricacies and details of product space. So we have something called product marketing managers. So they are the primary interaction points between the field management team, field sales team, and the product itself. So once the whole product is developed, there will be product marketing managers in the team as well. And it can be in product team, or it can lie within business team, and they will know they will have a basic understanding of how the product works, what the product tends to solve, how the customer is going to benefit from this, and then they go out and coach their sales team, or have direct conversation with the customers, do road shows or advertisements and all that, and that's how they interact with the customers and make the customers aware about this whole thing. So that's product marketing managers take care of that. That's the connection. Vedant Patel has asked a question: how do you identify a well-designed product? Okay, well, very good question. That's for me, a well-defined product is one which makes you habituated. That's the short answer. That's the primary requirement, and there are many elements to getting habituated. I can share with you. There's a book by Nir Eyal, Nireyal. He has written a book about how to form habit-forming products, and he has given a couple of good consumer insights and what can we do, what kind of groundwork we need to do to build habit-forming products. And so in my view, a well-designed product would be one which would make you habituated to use it again and again. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so Pritul has asked this. So what is scope after doing operations management in the US? Job profiles and more, if you could share. Okay, so this is from the study abroad space. Good question, Pritul. Operations management is it has got a good scope in US. Generally, right now I'm in the visa scenario. I'm pretty sure you must be aware about it. The US government is not a primary supporter of this. So currently the things are a little choppy for international students here. It's difficult getting job once you graduate, and now that COVID has hit, the job market has really dried up, and the international students are facing a lot of problems here. But once the situation neutralizes and improves, there are many good career options here, especially in operations management. If you happen to do something in optimization space, industrial engineering. My wife graduated and we both attended the university here together. She's also working with Walmart in supply chain flow strategy, and she did her master's in industrial engineering and operations research. So some of the components which fall under the broad area of operations management, and that's a great level of scope in supply chain and optimization research here in US. And if I were to give you one advice, I would, if you want to work in supply chain or industrial firms, then it would be better for you to take admission here in and around Texas or south in the southwest US rather than in Northeast. US, there are clusters. So Northeast is more about healthcare. Boston and the startups around Boston were totally focused on healthcare and robotics. So many of the robotics firms that you've heard about, Boston Dynamics and even Kiva Robots, they hail from the Boston area. So for robotics, you can go to robotics and healthcare. It's Northeast, and that's Boston. For finance, obviously New York is the place. If you want to go in the tech side, California is the place. California and Washington, Seattle. And if you want to go in operations related space, supply chain, then the Midwest US and the Southern US is a good area to be in, because the universities happen to be more strong in those areas, right? Okay. Priyanshu has asked, what will be the scope of study abroad in post-COVID-19 world? Yeah, it's again a very relevant and a good question. So think about it. If you are planning to study abroad, this and I'm more of an optimist, so I would say this is a good time to start, because these things are not going to be there for the 2 years that you will study, and you will enter a phase of industry when the industry would have already recuperated many of the losses that it incurred during this COVID stage, and there would be a uptick in demand, and the whole economic cycle would be churning. So you can consider applying to the universities, and plus the other point is, I think so admission criteria would also be relaxed, because many more people would have postponed their plans, or would not be very comfortable enough to go out and seek admission. So there would be an ease in admission, and you might land a scholarship as well. And by the time that you graduate, 2 years from now, hopefully the situation will be better. I mean, it's now the world that we live in. It's very unpredictable, and it's called VUCA world, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So it's very. I mean, who would have thought all the students who came here in 2018, and some of them graduated in 2020, and who would have thought that something of this thing would have happened to them? And the majority of them are either getting their job offers rescinded, or waiting for job offers to come. So you never know, but I think so this is a good time. When it's usually when the market is down that you invest, and once the market is up, you sell and make a profit. Okay. All right. Next is by Bhavya. Question. What is the main difference you see in the further studies among India and abroad? What will be the emerging opportunities you see in USA after this pandemic? Okay, again, good question. Okay, so these are two questions rolled in one. Let me take one by one. What is the main difference you see in the further studies among India and abroad? Okay. So I would say sizable difference. So India, even in this, there are two areas. I mean, if you plan to do MBA from India, or you plan to do masters from India, MTech from India. So if you let me first take MTech. MTech in India is more of a technical focused. The industry isn't very much. Industries in India aren't very much kind of very much eager to take on MTech. So majority of the MTechs, they happen to get the same kind of pay scale and opportunities that the BTechs get, unless and until you happen to be in a research position. That's not the case here in US. MS, that's how it's called here. It has two divergent fields. So one is in research. If you want to do research, then you get into a research field. You do MS, and then you can carry on with your PhD as well. And if you are interested in industrial industries and working for companies or corporates, you happen to do a terminal MS degree. So that's more of your you do your projects, and you complete your courses, and then you go in the field. So industries here value MS people a lot. So that's one major difference regarding your scope as well. Plus, the way courses are taught here, it's very different the way it happens in India. The examination pattern is pretty much relaxed here. The focus is more on learning rather than just acing a exam. And it's like, for some of the courses, like I had in MBA, and that's pretty much prevalent in the major B schools as well. You can pass a course even if you do not give the final exam, because the final exam weightage is only around 20%. The rest of the weightage is all the tests and all the interaction and discussions that you do in the class. So 80% of that is through the class. So unlike in India, where everything hinges on one final exam, or only two exams, one midterm and one final, it's very different here. So you have to be constantly engaged with the subject that you're going through. And that's make the learning more effective, and it's not as stressing as it is in India, because students have to learn everything and appear for a 3-hour exam, and then write everything during that time frame. So that's the difference, the education quality and the way it is given here. What will be the emerging opportunities you see in USA after this pandemic? So right now, USA, there's a huge demand for anyone who's interested in technology space, data science space. So computer people hailing from computer backgrounds, or even people who are from non-computer backgrounds. When I say computer here, it's more of a I would say wide field. It doesn't have to be like in India. It's not like only CS grads are computer science grads are considered computer people. Here it's like I've seen good technology people who hail from liberal arts background. They have done psychology, their bachelor's in psychology and graphic design and whatnot, and still they happen to be good technology people. So it's more about the skill sets that you develop rather than the degree that you have. So data science is on a boom. There's a lot of opportunities. Almost all industry, all corporates in the industry are sprucing up their data science teams. So huge demand in that. Software coders, if you happen to be from software space and you want to get into coding, then lots of jobs here as well. But then obviously because of COVID, there have been many layoffs as well in the coding space, because it's easy to hire, rehire, fire a developer or a coder as compared to a business person, because you have to it takes time to develop business insights, and the companies don't want to lay off or fire people whom it has really spent so much resources in developing the insights. So these are the major opportunities. Okay. Again, it's a question. What are the basic things to study abroad, and what is the scope for mechanical engineering in US? Okay. Good question. Okay, let me take the mechanical question first. What is the scope for mechanical engineer? I don't personally, from what I have seen, mechanical engineers do not have a good scope here in US, unless you happen to study in industrial engineering, which has got a really good scope, because you are majorly focused on supply chain and optimization. But I've seen many people in my circle struggle to get job after mechanical engineering, and the primary reason is there aren't many manufacturing industries now in US. Majority of that has been shifted to China, so there aren't enough mechanical jobs, and whatever jobs they have got, it's easily fulfilled by the domestic population. So the companies do not have any additional incentive to hire an international student. Having said that, it's not totally out of place. You can do, like I said, you can transition to industrial, which is very close to mechanical stuff, and it will be easy for you as well. So, but having said that, the scope of mechanical engineer as compared to someone who hails from data science or computers is less in US, and that's because the manufacturing industries have shifted to outside US. Okay, what are the basic things to study abroad? Well, this is a very broad question about studying abroad. But if you have to think from an admissions counselor perspective, I would want you to have a good GPA, a good standardized test scores. You can take GRE and all that TOEFL, and you need to have some extracurricular activities as well. And if you happen to have a couple of years of industry experience, then that can really be a good. So that is one advice that I would want to give for all of those who are thinking of coming to US or any other country. Getting a couple of years of experience, it can be a year, 2 or 3 years. In India, before you apply to universities abroad, can be really helpful in your job search here as well. Because if you're coming fresh, now it's becoming really difficult in US, especially to get jobs, because there are so many other candidates which are equally good or sometimes very good. who also happen to have experience. So it becomes difficult if you are a fresher and haven't had any industry experience to launch yourself in the corporate space. So that's one thing to consider. Okay, I think so. These were the questions that we had. Anything else that's remaining? I hope it was a good session, and it will be helpful to you as well. You can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. Also, that's an advice that I want to give to all students. Please try building your LinkedIn profiles, especially for people who want to go abroad. It's having a visibility on LinkedIn is very important. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I think.
All right.
I'll like to thank you on behalf of my IEI team. And this is to our YouTube audiences. Firstly, I would like to thank sir for sharing his experiences, his personal experiences, and guiding us through various stages of product management as well as studying in abroad. I think this session has cleared most of our doubts regarding these two topics. This is Shreyan Sinha signing off, and hope to see you all tomorrow live at 5 p.m. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Bye-bye. Have a good day.